The NSA has repeatedly claimed that the bulk collection of phone records and other metadata only allows the NSA to look for trends and make connections and see who might be a shared contact between others whom aren't specifically identified. But an article on TechCrunch, now shows that a researcher has proven that the NSA can identify individuals in most cases just by having their phone records. And to be honest, this isn't really a long stretch to imagine this. When you get a call on your cell phone from a number you don't recognize, if you punch that number into Google, very often you'll figure out who it was simply by doing that. And if you don't, having access to other, for example, social media platforms, etc., could certainly help you track down who is calling you, who a certain number belongs to. And that's essentially what this Stanford study did, Lewis. This is Jonathan Mayer. He's a Stanford researcher. He found that he could easily match so-called metadata to individual names with little more than a Google search. He said if a few academic researchers can get this far, this quickly, it's difficult to believe that the NSA would have any trouble identifying the overwhelming majority of American phone numbers. So using a crowdsourced public database of voluntarily submitted phone records, Metaphone, they sampled 5,000 numbers from their crowdsourced data set, and then they queried Yelp, Google Places, Facebook directories, and with just those three sources, they matched just over a quarter of the numbers that they have. Now, conservatively, if you really put any effort into doing this, they randomly sampled 100 numbers from their data set, ran Google searches, and in under an hour, they were able to get 60 of the 100 associated with specific people or businesses. And when they combined that with Facebook, Yelp, and Google Places, that went up to 73%. This is not a big surprise, Lewis, right? This is kind of obvious, this idea that it's only metadata, we know nothing else. Well, with very little effort, you can find out much more.
With very little effort, using resources that everyone has available, not to mention the resources that the NSA would have at their disposal, which could be just a simple matter of searching all of their records and everything they have on file. I would assume that they would probably be able to come up with about 90%, match 90% of the numbers they have.
No question about it. And this is not about whether government agencies should or should not have this information of whose phone number belongs to everybody, right? That's a separate conversation. We just can't have an honest conversation about this if we pretend it's just metadata. We don't have anything else, and that's not it. Anybody sitting in front of a computer with access to the internet could easily match 3 out of 4 of those metadata numbers that are collected. And I just don't get why anybody is surprised by this. It really seems pretty obvious to me. The question then becomes, does this keep us safe? Kind of a more pragmatic, practical question. And extensively, Lewis, we've talked about how increasingly nobody, the NSA, President Obama, etc., seems to be able to make the connection between this and increased safety.
Right. We just don't have the evidence. And is this a deterrent? I would say no. I don't think that the NSA having your phone number is going to be a deterrent from you wanting to commit some type of heinous crime.